From Evoke Media, I'm Sabrina Mirage Naim. With me is Cassia Binkowski, and this is Breaking Glass, a series of conversations with women around the world who are shattering glass ceilings and challenging social norms. They are audacious, gutsy, and their stories are echoed across borders and generations in a rallying cry that is changing the narrative for women everywhere. Today we're talking about an experience that is not widely discussed or acknowledged: regretting motherhood.
And let's be clear, we're not talking about the regret that every single mother experiences at some point every day. Definitely not the regret that I feel daily at 7 p.m. when the wheels completely come off the bus in my house. We're talking about an issue much deeper than that.
So today we head to Tel Aviv, Israel, where we speak with Orna Dornat, a doctor of sociology who studies the field of non-motherhood, motherhood, and regret. She is a social activist and the writer of the book Regretting Motherhood, which was translated into 14 languages.
Sabrina, this conversation was certainly hard for me to understand going into this episode, and I think it's a fascinating view that many, many women may not have had the chance to speak about or consider before. The fact that there are women out there who have become mothers and regret the decision is so taboo and so stigmatized that it's rarely spoken about. We delve into the societal pressures around motherhood, the stigma around regret, and why it's such a sensitive admission for mothers out there. Take a listen.
Orna, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Tel Aviv. This is a conversation that we are especially interested to dive into, something that we don't hear a lot about. And we really are excited to kind of delve into your research and some of the origin of this story. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be with you.
Absolutely. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you end up pursuing sociology?
I was born and raised in Israel. And to cut a long story short, when I was 16, I realized, and I said it as in my family as well, that I will never get married and I will not have children. And I know many people are saying to me that it's quite young to say, but my friends at high school, at the age of 16, talked all the time about when I will be a mother, I will have 3 children, their names will be this and that. And because they talked about it, for them it was quite obvious at the age of 16 that they will turn into mothers, that they will become mothers. It gave me the opportunity to think about it for myself and to realize that it's not my dream. I cannot see myself going down this road. Deep down, I already ask questions about society and what we are told that we must do and not do in our lives. And for me, that was the first step towards sociology. I at the age of, that's really interesting, because at the age of 16, if you would tell me that someday I will be a sociologist and I will have a PhD in sociology, I would laugh, because I also didn't see this coming up the road. But
what were you envisioning, even at 16, what were you envisioning for down the road that was not sociology?
I always said to my surroundings that I think that I will never find the exact thing that I would like to do in life, that it was not invented yet. But this was kind of a surprise for me, because when I read, the book of Tel Aviv University about all the options that I can go to and learn, when I opened and read about sociology and anthropology, I immediately said, this is my home. This is my home. But I didn't know it in advance. And then I started doing my the first degree, and that's what it it was a done deal. I I was so curious. I never wanted an academic career, and I'm still not relating to myself like a career woman or something like that. I'm just, the curiosity leads the road for me, and here I am. It's not what I planned for myself, but I knew about motherhood that it was not meant for me. That was quite obvious.
What were people's reactions to, a 16-year-old girl saying that, declaring something that is still, radically different than what all of your peers were hoping for and planning for? How did people react?
I think that until my first book was published here in Israel, my first book was published when I was 34. I think that all of my surroundings assumed that it's a kind of technical bug in the system.
A phase.
It's a phase. She's going through a phase.
Yeah, it's a phase, and everything will be all right. And when I published my first book here in Israel, at the beginning, I wrote about me not wanting to be a mother, and I think that's the point where my surroundings started to understand that I'm serious about it, that I'm truly serious about it. I never got a lot of pressure from my family. My parents do want me to be a mother because they really like and still like being parents, and they wanted me to share their experience as well. But they're not pushing me, and I'm already 45, so it's out of the question already. For myself, I never considered it as a problem that I must solve. I never went to therapy, try to understand where is it coming from. Am I afraid of something? For me, it was quite, of course, there is a diversity of female identities. Of course, what's the question here? Of course, we don't want the same thing just because we have the same biological organs, but quite soon I understood that the society has a problem with me, and that's where my political journey began.
So let's just clarify, because you've done a lot of research in terms of motherhood, non-motherhood, societal pressure and the role of society and all of that. And then in 2015, you published Regretting Motherhood, your second book, right? And the book was a culmination of years of research and interviewing women across socioeconomic, professional, and educational backgrounds. Tell us about the experience of compiling this research. It must have been extremely intimate, these conversations, because essentially what it is, these are mostly women who have become mothers and then after the fact acknowledge that they regret that decision. How did you get women to kind of come forward, given the crazy amount of stigma societally, to admit to something like that? What made them comfortable to come to you and tell their stories?
I guess that one of the things was that my first book was published and a few years before, and I was in the press here a lot of interviews here in Israel, and I think that a lot of women, I guess, saw me, heard me also on the radio. And I guess they understood that I will not judge them. I had already the surface of my first study here in Israel. And I guess that they heard from my voice, from my intentions, that I will understand. Even though I'm not a mother, or because I'm not a mother,